Hello, my lovely friends. How are we doing? I don't know what I was waiting for. You actually can't... I mean, you can reply, I just can't hear you. This is a recording. That's how recordings work. Anyway, it's time for some dating hell stories. 3 of them. I know, I'm spoiling you now. I'm not. This is just, make sure it's not too short. Anyway, let's read these stories. Let's start with story number 1 from Reddit user ReneBug13. This is bad dinner and movie experience. Oh boy. Here we go. So this was about 2007. I just left my ex and was in the process of a divorce. I decided to try my luck online, way back in the age where Yahoo Personals was the best online dating site. Oh god, I remember that. I was talking to a guy for a few days. We'll call him Mike because, honestly, I don't remember his name. When I would meet guys online, the first meet would be at the mall. Easy escape if I'm uncomfortable. Now, he didn't look much like his photo. He was totally jacked. I'm not into that, but, oh well, maybe personality can make up for it. He asked where I'd like to get food. It was a dinner and a movie date, I named 2 restaurants in the mall I'd be good with. He takes me to a sports bar. Ignored both my picks. That's a fucking bad sign already. Dinner. He didn't get us a table. Oh no, we sat at the bar. No meal, just an appetizer each. He was watching the game, baseball. I have no interest in any sport except hockey. He starts talking sports with the bartender. It was fairly empty. There was a guy on my right, kind of saw what was going on with the quote-unquote date, and started talking to me about movies and stuff. Actually a pretty good conversation. Mike, however, didn't notice, and didn't try to talk to me the entire time. I offered to pay half, but he insisted on paying. The movie. We walked through the mall in awkward silence to a movie theater. Mike asked what I like. I tell him horror, comedy, sci-fi, and hey, Resident Evil Extinction was out. He suggests The Kingdom, the war movie with Jamie Foxx. I tell him I'm really not comfortable with that. My brother was deployed in Afghanistan at the time, and I was scared for him daily. You probably know what we watched, don't you? I sat there shaking, crying, freaking out whenever something exploded or someone died. I just pictured my little brother going through this. Oh, and he literally didn't even glance over at me the whole time. The end. I was in tears and left at the credits. I didn't wait for him to catch up. Nothing. It was the absolute worst experience in dating. The next guy I got to know a bit better, and then got ghosted. That was fun. Shit, dude, this guy sounds like a fucking asshole. Like, okay, maybe if you realize you really don't have that much in common with somebody on a date and you want to end it early or something like that, yeah, okay, but you didn't even fucking speak to her. How the fuck would you know if you had anything in common or not? Like, what a fucking douchebag. And then, literally, not listening to anything she says at all. Like, I'm not saying you have to do every single thing that your date wants to do, but at least try to compromise. This motherfucker just didn't. No, I want to do what I want to do, and you're going to like it. It's like, why did you even go out with her? Like, it seemed like you really didn't fucking like her. That was just... It's fucking nonsense. I'm sorry you had to deal with that, dude. That is fucked up. Hopefully you don't have to deal with terrible dates like that anymore, ReneBug. I'm hoping for the best for you, Story number 2. The worst date of my life was with a mentally unstable alcoholic Christmas Day. Oh, that's a hell of a title. I had a very short-lived fling a couple years back. Met at the gym, exchanged numbers, eventually became consistent friends with benefits, and I made it clear we both weren't looking for anything. We were open to the possibility if it did happen. Anyway, fast forward to the holidays, there's just a lot of red flags popping up, like him nonchalantly saying his ex was going to pull up, which she did, and we were both shit-faced as fuck, and it was just so much drama, but luckily that died out within minutes. I realized within days that he was mentally unstable and had a drinking problem. Fast forward to Christmas Day. We decided to hang out and spend Christmas together, and already that day was proving to me that it was going to be a bad one. He was helping me move some fabrics, and I broke a nail, which caused me to bleed, and he got angry at me for being in pain. What the fuck? I told this guy multiple times not to be shit-faced around me, and I wanted him to respect that boundary. But guess what? Within hours, by the time we get to the movies, I realized he's drunk. Throughout the whole movie, he's being rambunctious, yelling random bullshit, pissing off the other attendees, trying to enjoy the movie, where they all had to yell at him to shut the hell up. By the time the movie ended, this idiot didn't know where his car keys were, and he started flipping out and blaming me. So I did the most logical thing, told him just go retrace his steps and look in the bathroom. But he made it so obvious that he was in despair that other staff members and other customers there were uncomfortable for me. Fast forward a few minutes later, we get to his car and hope it's there, and the freaking keys are right in the driver's seat. So I knew right there and then I was going to cut ties with this person. But he was my ride. So we went back to his house, we argued the whole time, and finally I just snapped and told him, "We're done, I'm not going out with you anymore, you don't respect my boundaries," and his wasted ass would just say more bullshit, so I just walk home. It's the middle of the night, I'm freezing, and crying, and telling myself this is the worst Christmas ever. So I had a friend come pick me up, thankfully, and drive me home. Honestly, it was the worst Christmas ever. And you damn well know I blocked him over everything and never spoke to him again after that. So, this one, before we even get into my own take on this, because this guy's just a fucking drunken douchebag, I want to go ahead and say this. There's another person who commented on this, Victoria Darling. I really like your name, by the way, which is the only reason I had to say it like that. Left this comment. "Hi, actually had a very similar anticlimactic holiday on Valentine's Day. Similarly with a batshit crazy guy who couldn't deal with his emotions. The guy I met up with was so obsessed with his ex, claimed to love her and hate her, he literally detoured by her house while we were headed to our anti-Valentine's Day date. Oh my fucking god. Then we bumped into his friends and he hijacked their Valentine's Day date. He ignored me and then refused to take me back to my car, which we left at a different location. I ended up walking out and he didn't care. Miles away from my car. I had to call my sister away from her Valentine's date to give me a lift to my car. The next day, he didn't even bother to check up with me to see if I was okay. Reality check, he didn't care, he left me stranded. Grateful I didn't leave anything behind in his vehicle and that my sister could pick me up. Lesson learned, don't spend the holidays with people who don't care about you. Anyone who's interested in only hookups doesn't care about you. Hookups are generally selfish and they take and don't give. Spend holidays with people who love, care, and respect you. Wishing you the best. Stay safe. Well, that's a fantastically wonderful ending to that, Victoria Darling. I also wish you the best and hope you stay safe. And that guy sounds like a fucking tool, and I'm glad you never have to see him again. Honestly, all of these guys sound like absolute douchebags. This is just like the douchebag collective. Let's just go to the third one. We're going to go on to like story number 3 now because I just need to know what else is going to happen here. This is story number 3. The most baffling reason a date went sour. I read this a little bit, so this will bring us some good things. Those last 3 were, bunch of fucking tools. So let's have some kind of weird, funny shit to go with this. This is kind of weird, funny shit. It's been well over a decade, but I met a girl online who was majoring in opera. Messaged back and forth, very good conversation, moved to texting. I eventually asked if she'd like to get dinner. She said she'd been hoping I would ask. First half of dinner goes great. We've been talking for weeks at that point. There really wasn't a ton of awkward get-to-know-you stuff. We're talking about her background in music, and I mentioned that I was in marching band in college. She asked what instrument I played, and I said, well, trombone. For some reason, it was like a switch flipped that very moment. She suddenly was almost completely detached from the conversation. She thanked me for dinner at the end of the night, and we went our separate ways. No talk of a second date, but no talk of ending things either. I texted her the next day and said, well, I had fun. Honestly, I was just trying to see if she had any interest in continuing anything. To put it bluntly, her texts from that point on were extremely mean. Like unprovoked, very harsh insults about the most random things. Before the date, communication had been very friendly, often flirty. After 4 to 5 texts, I said it was obviously clear that we wouldn't be seeing each other again. However, I had to ask point blank if her sudden 180 had anything to do with the fact that I played trombone. The turning point was just too obviously tied to that exact comment at dinner for me to ignore. Quote, I don't date trombone players. Unquote. That was our final communication of any kind. Frankly, I was so perplexed I didn't even know what to say. Why in the world would the fact that I used to play a certain instrument make someone that hostile towards me? I gotta be honest with you, dude. I don't know. That is super fucking weird. Like, no one is obligated to tell you their entire history, obviously. And maybe she had some kind of negative experience with somebody who did play trombone. But even so, that's such a weird fucking thing that even if you do have that negative experience, they're going to ask. That's going to be a thing. That's like, casually saying in conversation, like, oh, well, I don't go swimming because I have a terrible fear of jellyfish. Because they stung you? No, one of them killed my father. Well, you're going to ask how that happened. Was he allergic? Were there a lot of them? Was he in the ocean at the time? Like, I need to know more. There's so much about this that's just like, why trombone? What happened? But the worst part about this is, much like KMB 4327, that's an interesting name, much like ROP here, we're not going to get an answer. Something about trombones set this woman off, and that's all we will ever know. I don't have an answer for you, kids. The only thing I can say is, in my mind, maybe a trombone killed her father, and it's one of those Inigo Montoya things. And someday, somehow, she will find this trombone, and she will destroy it. I don't know, man. I have no idea. This is a very, very strange story, but all of them were interesting. All of them were, terrible dates. Thus the subreddit. But if you have your own terrible dating story or something you'd like to send me, r/Moonhorse stories, you can send it there. I'll definitely check it out. And make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. I have a Ko-Fi and a merch store. If you'd like to check those out, help support the channel, that would be great. If you can't, that's okay too. I'm just glad you're here. Every Saturday there is a live stream, and I have a mailing address if you'd like to send me weird things in the mail. I open them on video, because I have no social life. So, you can do that. Anyway, I love you all so very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye, everybody.